Your gran knew what a proper pie was. Thick, crumbly pastry made with butter. Real meat you could see and taste. Gravy rich enough to coat a spoon. But somewhere along the way, British pie makers decided profit mattered more than your health. They replaced beef with water, swapped butter for industrial fats, cut meat content so criminally low it should be illegal. The World Health Organization has classified processed meat as carcinogenic to humans, the same category as cigarettes. Today, I'm exposing 8 brands slowly poisoning you and 2 still making pies properly. Starting at number 8, Tesco Everyday Value Meat Pies. Around £1.50. Sounds cheap until you discover what you're actually putting in your body. 15% beef. 15. The rest? Water. Wheat flour, textured soya protein. You're eating a vegetarian pie with beef flavouring chemically sprayed on. A Leeds woman posted she fed one to her husband after his night shift. 3 bites in, he looked at her and asked if she'd accidentally bought dog food. Grey paste, watery gravy tasting of nothing except salt and crushing disappointment. But here's what should terrify you. The pastry is loaded with hydrogenated vegetable fat. Industrial trans fats that clog your arteries. Every bite damages your cardiovascular system. Studies show ultra-processed foods like this are linked to 32 harmful health outcomes, including heart disease, cancer, type 2 diabetes, and premature death. Your gut bacteria, essential for immune function and mental health, can't process these chemical additives. They die off. That leaves you vulnerable to depression, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, and obesity. One devastated review said, "I've genuinely had better meals in a prison canteen. This isn't food, it's an insult wrapped in pastry." And number 7 should be prosecuted for what they're selling. At number 7, Wall's pork pies, £1.80 at Tesco for something that destroys every tradition of what a British pork pie should be. Pork content, 42%. But pork in food labelling includes fat, gristle, connective tissue, and mystery cuts from parts you'd never consciously eat. The actual recognisable pork meat? Closer to 20% if you're lucky. The rest is water, rusk, and pork stock made from boiling bones and scraps. The seasoning isn't salt and pepper like tradition demands. It's flavouring and flavour enhancers. Chemical compounds tricking your brain into tasting pork when there's barely any present. A Manchester man bit into one expecting traditional quality. He nearly gagged. The filling tasted of nothing except overwhelming saltiness and a disturbing chemical aftertaste that lingered for hours. He threw it away, went hungry rather than finish it. The pastry should use lard. Wall's uses hydrogenated vegetable fat and palm oil. More trans fats linked directly to coronary heart disease. The result is pastry that's simultaneously rock hard and leaves a greasy coating in your mouth. Here's what makes this unforgivable. The WHO explicitly warns that processed meats increase colorectal cancer risk by 18% for every 50 grams consumed daily. Wall's knows this. They don't care. Profit matters more. One review said, "This tastes like someone who'd never eaten a pork pie tried describing one to an alien." The next brand destroyed childhood memories for an entire generation. Number 6 breaks your heart. Frey bentos. That iconic red and white tin. It's been in British cupboards since your great-grandparents' time. During rationing, it fed families. It was reliable, decent, trustworthy. Around £2 per tin now. Open one. You'll find pale pastry sitting on meat-flavoured gel pretending to be filling. 18% beef minimum. 18. The rest? Water, modified maize starch, wheat flour, and a parade of E numbers. E422 glycerol, E412 guar gum, E415 xanthan gum. Thickeners, creating the illusion of rich filling when meat is barely present. A Birmingham woman in her 60s heated one specifically for nostalgia. She remembered her mum serving these in the 70s. They were proper then. What she got was crushing disappointment. Pale, gummy pastry, chemical gel masquerading as gravy. She couldn't finish. Just sat there feeling genuinely heartbroken about how catastrophically standards had fallen. The ultra-processed ingredients create metabolic dysfunction. Your body doesn't recognize this as food. It triggers inflammatory responses throughout your system, disrupts beneficial gut bacteria essential for health. Studies show people eating ultra-processed foods consume 500 more calories daily without realizing, leading directly to obesity. The pastry isn't puff or short crust, it's some unnatural hybrid engineered to survive months frozen. Tastes like damp cardboard. Feels wrong in every way. Number 5 charges premium prices whilst laughing at you. Coming in at number 5, Charlie Bighams, £5.50 for one single serving pie that's still fundamentally mass-produced industrial product with superior marketing. Their steak and ale pie packaging enthusiastically tells you about British beef and real ale. What they don't clearly state: you're still getting modified maize starch as a primary ingredient, caramel colorings making gravy look richer than it is, and processing shortcuts expected from budget brands. Check the pastry carefully. Not proper all-butter puff like they want you imagining. It's made with vegetable oil and margarine. The flakiness isn't from skilled lamination. It's engineered industrial texture created through processing. A Surrey woman paid £5.50 expecting genuine quality. What she got was marginally better than options costing half as much. She felt genuinely conned. For £5.50 you could visit a proper butcher, buy quality braising steak, a bottle of decent ale, make genuine premium, filling. Buy all butter puff pastry, still save money and eat something incomparably better. But here's the insidious danger. These ultra-processed foods are designed to be hyper-palatable. They trigger reward centers in your brain similar to addictive substances. You're being neurologically manipulated into craving industrial food whilst your metabolic health deteriorates silently. One person described it devastatingly. It's Ginsters in expensive packaging pretending to be something it fundamentally isn't. Wait till you see what this motorway staple does to your intestines. At number 4, the service station nightmare, Ginsters. Around £2.50 for a Cornish pasty that's simultaneously tough and soggy, dense, heavy. Tastes overwhelmingly of cheap industrial shortening. Their Cornish pasty is particularly insulting given proper ones have protected geographical status requiring strict standards. Ginsters makes theirs in Cornwall specifically to use the name whilst taking outrageous liberties with what goes inside. Meat content is criminally low. Chunks that are more textured vegetable protein than beef. The swede and potato swimming in thick, gloopy sauce tasting artificial and over-salted. But here's what exposes them completely. The best before date. These last weeks. Proper pasties should be eaten fresh or within 2 days maximum. The fact that Ginsters can sit refrigerated for a fortnight tells you everything about the preservatives pumped into them. The chemical preservatives disrupt your gut microbiome catastrophically. Your intestines contain trillions of beneficial bacteria essential for immune function, mental health, and nutrient absorption. Ultra-processed foods destroy them. Studies link disrupted gut bacteria directly to depression, anxiety, autoimmune diseases, and obesity. Recent reviews show massive shrinkflation, smaller sizes, less filling, higher prices. You're getting less food, more chemicals, paying more for the privilege. One review said, "Eating Ginsters is an act of pure desperation, not desire. You don't want it, you're just trapped and starving." This brand uses additives that would make a chemist nervous. The chemical horror at number 3, Puka pies, around £2.25. But let's examine their steak and kidney pie. A classic that should be simple. Puka's version contains over 25 separate ingredients. Beef appears as the 5th ingredient after water and wheat flour twice. The kidney giving the pie its name, 4.5%. You're statistically more likely to get modified maize starch than actual kidney. Then comes the terrifying parade. E450, E451, E452. Phosphates used to retain water in meat. When beef content is pathetically low, they pump it full of water, then use chemicals preventing leaking during cooking. A Glasgow woman bought one expecting decent quality based on family-owned marketing. The filling tasted more of chemicals than beef. The gravy had that distinctive artificial taste of heavy flavour enhancers working overtime. But here's what should genuinely alarm you. These phosphate additives are linked to accelerated aging, kidney disease, cardiovascular problems, and weakened bones. A 2023 study found high phosphate intake directly correlates with increased mortality risk. The pastry uses palm oil and hydrogenated vegetable fat. More trans fats, more arterial damage. That heavy feeling afterwards when pastry sits in your stomach like clay. That's your digestive system struggling desperately to process industrial fats it wasn't designed to handle. You're paying over £2 for water, cheap flour and chemicals with just enough beef flavouring to technically qualify as a meat pie. The brand at number 2 betrayed everyone who believed in them. At number 2, the heartbreaking sellout, Pieminister supermarket range. This genuinely hurts. Pieminister started as something truly special, a genuine attempt to save British pies from industrial mediocrity. Their restaurants served proper pies with visible quality ingredients. Then they scaled for supermarkets. That's where betrayal unfolds. The Pieminister pies in Tesco and Sainsbury's. Absolutely not the same product. Not remotely. They're mass-produced using identical cost-cutting techniques as everyone else, but charging £4 to £5 based entirely on restaurant reputation. They're supermarket steak and ale pie. Beef content dropped noticeably. The pastry that used to be 100% butter, now it's vegetable oil blend. Industry code for, we replaced expensive butter with cheap fat hoping you won't notice. The gravy that used to be rich and slow cooked, now thickened with modified starch and artificially coloured with caramel. A Bristol woman bought their supermarket pie after loving the restaurant version. The difference genuinely shocked her. Less filling, thinner gravy, no butter richness. She felt personally betrayed. In June 2025, they recalled multiple varieties due to labelling errors suggesting quality control was slipping badly as they prioritised scaling over standards. Pieminister could have been the exception. Could have proved you can scale up whilst maintaining quality. Instead, they became another depressing example of venture capital prioritising growth targets over food integrity. They kept the branding, kept the premium price, kept the marketing, desperately hoping you won't notice they've replaced the actual product with mass market approximation. And the absolute worst offender that's been lying for over a century. The disaster at number 1. Hollands pies, been trading since 1851, over 170 years of supposed heritage. They're a northern institution woven into Lancashire identity, 90p with club card currently. Regular price £1.80. Look at it, really look. The pastry is pale, anemic, sickly. Check the ingredients on their meat pie. Pork, 17%. Beef, 5%. Water is the first ingredient. Let that sink in properly. 22% total meat in a meat pie. 3/4 of what you're eating isn't even meat. What's the rest? Water. Wheat flour. Bread rusk as cheap filler. Modified starch. Beef gelatine. A parade of emulsifiers and stabilizers. A Burnley man, northern-born and raised on Hollands, bought one for nostalgia. He remembered them being decent. What he got was gravy-soaked sponge with occasional rumours of meat somewhere distant. The pastry reads like a laboratory experiment. Palm oil, rapeseed oil, emulsifiers, chemical stabilizers. This isn't food your grandmother would recognize. It's engineered to stay shelf-stable for weeks, survive industrial production, be manufactured as cheaply as physically possible. But here's the health catastrophe. The combination of palm oil, ultra-processing and chemical additives creates what nutritionists call metabolic dysfunction. Your insulin response becomes dysregulated. Inflammation increases systematically. Obesity risk skyrockets. Type 2 diabetes becomes significantly more likely. The WHO has stated clearly that ultra-processed foods are a leading cause of the global obesity epidemic and associated chronic diseases including colorectal cancer. Hollands built their reputation when pies were made by hand with real ingredients. What they're cynically selling now is industrial approximation, charging 90p whilst trading shamelessly on that 1851 legacy, having nothing to do with the current product. That's your number 1. A pie destroying British tradition and your health with every bite. But 2 brands prove quality still exists if you demand it. Proof that caring still matters. At number 2, Higgity. After all that betrayal, here's evidence that commercial success and genuine quality aren't mutually exclusive. Higgity produces at proper commercial scale, distributes nationally, competes with big brands. But they've absolutely refused to compromise on fundamentals. Their steak pie contains 40% British beef, actual recognisable beef from named British farms with full traceability. Not textured vegetable protein, not mystery paste. The ingredient list is refreshingly short. Beef, vegetables, stock, seasoning, pastry, real food. And the pastry, all butter, proper butter, you immediately taste the difference. That rich, crumbly texture genuine butter pastry delivers. No greasy chemical aftertaste. A Kent woman bought one after years of supermarket disappointment. Her review was emotional. "This is what I remember pies tasting like when I was young. I'd forgotten food could taste like this." Yes, they cost more, around £4 depending on size and location, but you're genuinely getting what you're paying for. Proper meat content, proper pastry, a product made by people who demonstrably care, and the gold. Standard proving British pie making isn't dead. The champion at #1, Pieminister restaurant pies. Critical distinction, not the disappointing supermarket range. The actual pies served in Pieminister restaurants or ordered directly from their kitchens. These represent what Pieminister was always meant to be. This is perfection every other pie should aspire to. Their steak and kidney pie is genuine craftsmanship. Meat content over 50%. The pastry is authentic, all butter puff or short crust. The ingredient list reads exactly like your Gran's recipe. Beef, kidney, onions, flour, butter, water, salt, pepper. Real food. A professional chef from London said, "As someone who cooks for a living and is brutally critical, this is the best pie I've eaten outside my own kitchen." Yes, they cost more, £5 to £6 per pie, but you're getting proper food made by people who deeply understand what a pie should be, who haven't compromised, who still care about quality over quarterly profit targets. These prove conclusively it's still absolutely possible to make traditional British pies without cutting corners, without replacing meat with water and starch, without using trans fats and chemical enhancers. When you eat one, you immediately understand what all those other brands used to be before they were ruthlessly optimized for profit. 8 brands destroying British pies and your health, 2 keeping quality alive. Check your freezer now. Hollands, Walls, Frey, bentos. You're eating 20% meat, trans fats and chemicals causing heart disease and cancer. Your grandparents ate proper food. You deserve the same. Choose quality.